This is Reah, and this is Just the Who of Us, where we talk about a range of topics including life events, current events, spirituality, entertainment, family relationships, as well as answering listener questions and more.
There you go.
Here I am.
Just look at me, or just,
I
you
keep
know,
I keep looking at the computer. Okay. All
sounds
right.
like a you problem.
You look like a you problem.
I am a me problem. I'm not denying shit over here.
I am a me problem.
Do you want me to lie?
No. Well, you don't always tell me the truth.
Actually, what's actually funny was technically I was diagnosed when I was younger, and I didn't know this until I went back in my doctor notes. But I was diagnosed before I was even 18, because usually they want to wait till you're 18.
Right.
But I was actually diagnosed with it sooner than that. And I just wasn't aware of that. So
Anywho.
anywho, but I just wonder that that stigma still has never gone away.
Yeah.
No. And I think that if you do that research we talked about last time, I don't know if you have, but
No, it's like I plan to. And I actually have someone who could actually give me data to go off of.
okay.
Um, it's one of those things, it's like I'm also working on writing another book.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things that like I want to do it and I'm so looking forward to do it, but my brain is like, okay, that's a lot of work. We're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like we're
It's an
gonna wait.
ADHD moment, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like I'm ready for this. I'm excited about it. I have the things that I want to write down already,
Mhm.
but my brain is like, ooh, that's a lot of work. So we're gonna stress about it first for a little bit. we're gonna we're gonna push it out a little bit while we stress about it for no reason.
That's
Because
fair.
yeah, I actually
I
thought about it.
completely understand what you're saying. Yes, because I've done that a billion times. So
It's
it's
like with my autobiography. It was a 5 year span of writing this book because it was partially because it was so emotionally overwhelming talking about certain
right.
things. But then I would get to this point after the first year, I was like, I still have so much to do. I can't do this right now. Like,
You get overwhelmed with the thought of everything you have to do for it.
yes, yes, yes.
I no. See, I can't even get angry or mad at you about it because I know I do the same.
Like I could sit down, I could take a good hour and write so much already, but then it's like, ugh,
I know what would help you.
you say you know who?
I know what could help you.
Oh,
If I gave you a deadline, because then you're gonna give that deadline, you're gonna see like, oh shit, the deadline's here, and then you're gonna work your ass off, and that lasts like 5 hours, and
that's
you're gonna
true.
get shit done because
That's
that's what I
true.
do.
Literally, we have these contracts for the city that we're working on, and now not for lack of my efforts, but I was like, hey, we've got about 4 or 5 days to get
Hmm.
these certain things in, and it was a lot. It was a lot of researching I had to do, a lot of numbers and stuff like that. Which when I sat down and did it, it was perfectly fine.
Right.
But it was partly getting my husband on the same schedule.
Hmm.
And plus, I was very particular about this. I didn't want to sit at home and do it. Like we did some of it sitting in our den, and it was like because we have like a small den,
Hmm.
and then we have the living room, so we would sit in the small den because it's like okay, it's a little bit more away, a little quieter. We closed the doors,
Yeah.
and we sat there and we got a little bit done. But I don't know. I just when I work on certain things, I like to be in my office.
Hmm.
Like it's a professional space. That's why I have it. And I'm like, okay, I want to do this at the office. And when we were at home, okay, well, I don't know. I just wasn't as motivated.
Right.
So the day that this stuff was done, to the 2 days before, my husband and I are sitting in my office. He's on his computer, I'm on my computer, and we're like doing all this shit the day before, and then the day of, I spent the rest of the day in my office doing it because why not? Because
And
it was
how
then, and now I have to do it.
now there's a question of self-awareness that I want to ask you because I know I'm a person who does this shit. How often do you, what's the right word for it? How often do you try to justify your reason for not doing things?
Like putting things off.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like kind of like what you said, oh, the house didn't feel right, this room didn't feel right, whatever, blah blah, blah. You know what and what
Oh
those
yeah,
are very valid shit, you know. And how often do you try to justify the procrastination sort of? I mean, not procrastination, maybe not the right word, but
yeah,
how,
but that's
like
what it is.
because I mean, exactly, because that's what I do. I do that a lot. I'm like, I'm trying to justify something that I just don't want to do, you know, or I'm trying to
Yeah,
justify me not doing. Maybe sometimes I try to justify why sometimes I don't want to go out for that exposure exercise because I'm trying to justify it in my head because either I'm tick scared or I just don't see the point or I'm bored of it or
yeah,
whatever, you know, and I think a lot of people lack the self-awareness of how often they try to justify something that maybe is not, I don't know how to explain it without sounding validating. It's like, how often do we all try to justify things that are just bullshit? You know, that's what comes to my mind. It's just bullshit. You know, the
yeah.
justification is bullshit. You're just trying to convince yourself at this point, and you want other people to agree with that justification.
Yeah, no, I think that you said it correctly. We are trying to validate our procrastination. That is,
Exactly.
I mean, that's what it is.
Hmm.
I want to say that I don't do it a lot. I don't feel like I put things off to the last minute a lot.
Hmm.
However, probably more than I consciously would like to admit.
Hmm.
Even in
I
simple
mean,
things.
it's a lot of it can be unaware too. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, just having awareness, at least on a bigger shit, is more important than if you just do it on small shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
small shit really doesn't really matter. It's the bigger shit that matters, you know? And I
yeah,
think it's good to start on smaller shit so you can build up to not being able to do it on bigger shit. But smaller shit really doesn't matter as long as you can bring the awareness to the bigger shit. And
yeah,
it's just like also take a deeper dive into why you want to procrastinate. I know it's a lot of work, but there's a deeper meaning behind that. Are you afraid that it may be successful? Are you afraid of this and that? You know, like I mean, I know that thing we talked about. There's actually some vile in it. There's some truth in it, I
yeah.
believe. And from what I've seen, I think you believe that too. So therefore, ask yourself at the end of the day, what are you most afraid of?
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's the amount of effort.
Hmm.
Sometimes it also could be consistency.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's stressful knowing that you have to be consistent, right? Like,
Right, right. Yeah. It's
when I,
that commitment to it too. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm scared of commitment.
Same here, bitch.
Once I start doing this, I've got to follow through with it and I've got to finish it,
Hmm.
which is not a bad thing. It's a
Right.
very, very good cause, a very helpful thing
Right.
to come out of it. So
Right.
it is weird. Also, I think for me, I want to sit down and I want to do this and I want to finish it.
Hmm.
A lot of times in life where, like take the gym, for example. Now, it's typically my fault. At the end of the day, it's my fault whether it's on me whether I go or not. But I feel like every time I get consistent with the gym, something happens to where I can't go for weeks or months. I'm not
Hmm.
even kidding. And it's like things that don't have to do with me. Like my time has to go elsewhere. And so
Hmm.
it's also kind of that, like sometimes I feel like, okay, well, if I start this, I have to finish it. And
Hmm.
what if things come up and it sets me behind? That I think that's a really big factor in,
And see, now that's a great awareness to have. It's like, what if you do get started on this project and it will take longer than you anticipated or this or
right,
that.
right,
And that's a very valid thing.
yeah,
And I understand that. And what timeline is there for you to have for it?
right,
I
right,
mean, like
yeah,
if you were to start it and then a kid needs your attention for a couple months or whatever.
right,
There's no deadline on me. I mean, I made a joke saying I can put one, but
yeah,
as much as I do, I'm probably gonna forget what it is anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't know until I see on my calendar, oh, it's her deadline today. Like, I mean, like, but I'm just saying, I think like I said, like, I don't know. It just depends on everything. You know what I mean? Because while all that's very like justification is valid in any sense,
yeah,
it is very valid. And there you went trying to justify why you don't want to start something.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And even though that's understandable, but then that's when checking the facts comes in handy. Does this thing even have a timeline? No, it does not,
right. So there's
Like
no timeline to get behind on. It's
exactly. It's like you can't really get behind on something there's not anything to get behind on,
right,
like and I think with other things, one thing that you said that I completely understand is sometimes you just want to sit down and just be able to get it done in that moment. You want the
yeah,
instant gratification of your work, And
yeah,
that makes so much sense because I am the same way. But there's like things with like my job, the new job and everything where like I'm doing this work, and while I do see gratification with it through paycheck or watching it go in or whatever, saving the info and stuff, it's not showing me complete gratification because it's like I want to see it now. You know what I mean? I mean all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, you gotta at some point radically accept that, hey, I'm not gonna get this done in one go, but I'm never
right,
gonna get it done if I never get it started.
right, right,
And it's one of those things that helps to remind this is what helps me in those types of things, when I don't want to sit down and do something, I'm like, would I rather face the consequences of not doing it at all or get the gratification? It just may not be instant.
right.
To
Yeah,
eventually get the gratification, and it's just like, would you rather never get it or just eventually get it? And I think for me, I always choose to eventually get it because I like gratification. So I mean,
right,
like,
right,
us
right.
ADHD people love instant gratification, and we also prefer gratification over no gratification. So I mean,
Yeah,
well, that's just how I view it. So,
yeah. No, and that kind of like circles back to the question that you asked me about dopamine and serotonin.
oh yeah,
So dopamine typically we're searching for dopamine kind of for like a high, like the
right.
high of the good feelings.
Mhm.
Whereas serotonin is typically more for balancing things out emotionally.
Oh, so like serotonin is like more of a constant thing, whereas
Yeah.
dopamine is more of a
Serotonin
boost.
serotonin is more of a balance, like a balancer.
And what does
Really,
Adderall produce? Serotonin?
Adderall,
Does
mm,
it produces
I would
serotonin?
serotonin. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dopamine is like,
That makes so much sense to why that shit helps.
yeah, because it's balancing things out. Dopamine is like, why do I go eat a donut when I'm sad? Because I need dopamine. I need that mood booster.
Hmm.
That's where serotonin is, it's more going to level your emotions rather than
It's like
give you
a constant.
purpose.
Serotonin is more of like a constant of being with even, and dopamine is more of like
It's
instant.
instant gratification. Yeah.
Yeah, it's instant gratification. That makes so much sense because okay, because when I like I've only said I've only taken one dose of Adderall, and I really need to and I'm aware I am justifying why I don't, and I'm aware of this. And it's like when that first day I took it, it felt great. Like I mean, I felt calm. I didn't have anxiety. I could think about going in a car and not feel anxiety. So why don't you just take it? Anyhow, that's a little voice in my head saying, okay,
Yeah.
anyhow.
Because it
And
made you feel different.
huh?
Because it made you feel different.
If exactly. And also when I took it, like I could watch a movie and maybe get a little emotional. Or it was I don't think it was a movie, it was a TV show maybe. I don't know. I don't know, it was some part. And I started to feel like sad, but I didn't feel like 100% sad, like where BPD makes it 0 to 100. Like I didn't want to tear open my own skull, you know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't want to bash or whatever, like I just felt okay. I'm noticing this feeling. It's not taking me over, and I'm okay. And
Yeah.
so okay, so I can already hear the comments now. Well, why don't you take the damn medication? I don't know. It makes me feel different. I don't like when I don't have control over how I'm feeling. And then now I can see in your comment, did you ever really have control over your own feelings? Because you go to 0 to 100, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. So,
But it's a constant. It's how this is how it, and I think for this could apply to addicts as well.
mhm.
Chasing your first high is
Yeah.
something I've heard a lot of people say when it comes to addiction. They spent the whole next portion of their lives trying to get that first high back. And
Hmm.
also there's the withdrawal component and things like
Right.
that. You are terrified to feel different, although the different feeling is good once you,
Right.
as far as the addiction goes, once you get past your addiction, but then you have to relearn how to function again.
Right.
And I think that's the scary part in your case,
Right.
because you're like, I don't want to feel this way that I normally
But I
feel,
can function all well,
but
I
I,
can
but I know it. I'm familiar with it. I know how to
exactly.
handle it,
Right.
to quote unquote manage it and things like that. And then
Right.
although that feeling that you had was great,
Hmm.
it's a little scary because it's not what you're used to.
Right. And also the next day after I took the medication, I had a full-on worst panic attack you could ever have.
Mhm.
And while I know logically it couldn't have been the medication because the medication was out of my system at that point. Like if I was gonna have a bad anxiety attack, it would have been while I was feeling the effects of it, not 13 hours after I took it. Or no, 13 hours after I felt back to normal because I went to sleep around 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. And then I started to feel the anxiety around 10 or 10:30. So it was around 13 hours after it wore off and I went to bed. The anxiety would have happened during or
You would have,
like
yeah, it would have been while you were still taking it.
on the under the no, I guess under the influence, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like I mean it would have
While it was
been
still in your system.
while it was the most potent,
Yeah, yeah.
most and
Well, not necessarily, because your mind can also play the trick on you where, okay, I'm used to feeling this way,
mhm,
but now I feel really great and I feel like I'm calm and I'm in control and everything like that.
mhm,
Oh shit, that's what do I do now? Or, like you're freaking out. What do I do now while it's still in your system because it's so different? Or you have that feeling and you're calm and you're together and you feel like you're in control. And then once that wears off, your brain, even though it might not be logical to you, your brain is like, oh fuck, I'm back here. And
mhm.
and then you go into a panic because
I
you're not
think
feeling
I
that.
my my understand what I think happened in my this is my opinion. I don't know 100 because it could be that it's my thing is that my body experienced calm and experienced that calm throughout that day and then throughout the night. And then when I woke up and I started to feel it maybe just a little bit again, I was like, and what came to my mind was maybe that's what my body normally feels is that level of panic on a constant
Right.
basis. And so therefore you got a taste of the calm and then now it went back to that could be my normal state of hyper like anxiety and stuff, and it just came back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like the medication I'm supposed to take every 6 hours. Well, take one in the morning, take one in the afternoon, and then you go to bed, whatever, and then you wake up, you take another one, take one again in the afternoon, so it can build up in your system, and it's supposed to be more of a constant thing, you know. She prescribes it as needed, but she prescribes a lot of medications that I'm supposed to take on, well, not a lot of them, but you know, in the past she just does as needed. And she said what's great about getting me on a stimulant is that I don't have to take it constantly.
Yeah.
Whereas like non-stimulants, you do have to take them constantly every night on a basis. And she knows I suck at that shit. She knows I fucking suck at that shit. And so when she was like, I feel comfortable and trust you enough to start you off with a stimulant, and we can just see how this goes. She started me on Ritalin, but I did more research that night because I really didn't do research on it because I didn't know I mean, I kind of already knew it was going to come back as positive for the ADHD test, but like I didn't know 100%.
Yeah.
So when I talked to her and stuff, she started with Ritalin. I looked up Ritalin and Adderall. Adderall actually has the least amount of side effects out of the two, and also the side effects that Adderall can have, I can actually handle if I did get them. Like, like I know Ritalin, I think one thing with Ritalin was like shakes or something, but
Mhm.
Adderall, you only get the shakes if you snort it, apparently. So I'm like, I'm not gonna
Oh,
snort it. Like it says snorted, you would it would cause shakes, you know, but I think with Ritalin it said it can or whatever tremors or I don't know. So I was just like, so I did more research. Adderall seems more like the perfect fit for me, you know, and also a lot of kids take it, so they wouldn't give something to kids that are bad, you know what I mean? Like,
wouldn't think.
you know what I mean? Like if all these kids were on it, then I'm like, okay, then it's fine. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be addictive or anything, but I'm saying they have
If
their parents controlling it and you
Yeah,
know, probably a small dose, you know. So I'm just
yeah,
like, okay, they can give this to a kid, they can give it to me. So
right.
and
I get what
they give Ritalin to kids, they just avoid giving Ritalin to kids apparently for some reason. But and I'm like, okay, if you can't give it to the kids, you can't give it to me. Like, I mean,
I was on Ritalin as a kid, and I was like a zombie, according to my mother. And we tried it for a little bit. I didn't like the way it made me feel, although I was calmer, but I was like
yeah. See,
a
that's
zombie.
what I saw too. It makes you more like zombie like is what I've seen, you know.
Yeah,
Whereas when I
yeah.
was on when I know I've only taken one dose, I know. But the one dose I wasn't a zombie. I was just focused. Like I was legit just I wasn't anxious. I was focused. Like I was here typing something up to my psychiatrist. I was like, yeah, make this a more regular thing, you know, make this a more regular medication. And my bestie was with me because to help me with the anxiety of taking it because I have that anxiety taking medication. Yay. Anywho, my love handle was showing because I had my shirt off, you know, and because I get very hot when I'm anxious. I have like these love handles and I was typing something. She was like she pinched it. And I was looked at her like, why? Just why? You know, she's like, it's so cute. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I was like, I forgot you even existed. Like, I was focused on this email. I didn't know you even existed in this moment. Like, I was like, who the fuck was that?
Get
Like,
the
I was like, I mean, I know I see shadowy people, but I didn't think I could feel them. I'm like, bro, like it was kind of funny, and I'm just like, and as like more and more time passes, I notice more things that are related to ADHD, and I'm like, I really need to start this medication again and just give it a full on try. One morning, just take it in the morning, take one in the afternoon, and just go with them. Fully just trusting God, but I have trouble with that shit. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm like that too with medication though. If I am not 100%. satisfied with it the first time I take it, I'm probably not going to take it. I've tried different ADHD medications. I've tried like at one point I took a weight loss medication, and they were both stimulants, and I just
Yeah, have you tried Adderall?
I know I've tried Vyvanse, Concerta.
Because I know I feel like you and I are similar in the ADHD shit. And even my therapist was like Adderall is the only one that worked for her. And it
I was
works for me too. I mean,
stimulant. I'm just not. I don't like stimulants because they make me feel like wired, and I don't like that.
oh, see, I know they say with some people with ADHD can make them feel more wired, but I felt more calm on it. Like
Yeah,
it was leveling out what I didn't have. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
was where it might be with you. You might be already overly where I have less, maybe you
I'm
probably have
overstimulated
more.
for sure.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
whereas like I feel like I am a naturally anxious person. They say stimulants can make you more anxious.
yeah,
Um, but it says that they say that with ADHD, well, I guess it depends on the ADHD person, but it says if you
yeah,
have ADHD, it will actually calm that instead of like hyping it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, which really surprised me. Well, no, never mind. You say that you haven't tried Adderall. I was gonna say because you said other stimulants that made you more wired, but Ritalin made you more calm. So
Yeah, Ritalin had me like a zombie. But
that's
that
why
was
that's
as a
that's
kid.
why I would be curious how Adderall would work because it's technically like Ritalin, but not obviously not. But
Yeah,
you would get that calmness, but you wouldn't feel that wired. I don't know. Maybe you would. I I will
but
come over. I'll give you a pill or something. You
I
should try it. I'm just
then I
playing.
could write this whole thesis.
Huh?
I could write this whole
Exactly.
thesis.
Exactly. I'll be like, Rhea, I'll even give you access to my two monitors and my gaming computer. Like Ava will do everything. You it's real fancy pants shit, you know? Like, I'm just fucking around. But like I'll give you here's an Adderall. You do your shit. I got it done. Great.
Yeah, I've even like taken like certain gummies to help sleep, and I'm like high as shit, but super awake. I'm like, oh, this is fucking great.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is what's actually great is I think it would actually help your sleep, Adderall. The reason why I say that, the only reason why I say that is because once it wears off, it's a stimulant. So once it wears off, your body has just been awake for the
Yeah,
past, awake for
yeah.
the past,
Mm,
12 hours. Once it wears off, I went to sleep great. Like, I
yeah,
mean, woke up in the middle of the night for like an hour or two. I could still feel the effects a little bit. But other than that, I slept fine. Like, I mean, I think once it gets into my body, gets used to it, it'll probably, that extra 2 hours that I stayed awake in the middle of the night will probably go away. But,
yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking about looking at a hypnosis for sleep because
mm,
I'm just for one, I don't like taking medication. And the fact that I've been on the sleep medication for a couple of years now,
which
I'm
one?
uh
Sarah,
trazodone.
Trazodone? Huh.
Yeah.
I tried Trazodone. So I also I did Seroquel at one point too.
Mm. I
So,
mean, usually I sleep. Usually I'm out and I sleep well. But last night, I, so the past few nights I've been taking a little bit higher than my typical dosage, like just to
right.
help because just the previous week was there were some difficult changes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's also like a mood stabilizer or yeah. So I I upped the dosage a little bit, which my doctor, when my father passed, my doctor gave, okay, here's your normal dosage, but I'm also writing a prescription for a separate uh dosage that's just a little bit. It's not,
Mhm.
it's like half of the normal. And if you know, sometimes if you need it, take it. So I
Mhm.
have like the past few days.
Mhm.
Last night, so I took one and a half of what I usually take,
Mhm.
or you know, like one and a half of the dosage.
Yeah, I got you.
And I didn't even sleep for shit. Like I slept horribly. I had so much trouble falling asleep, and I'm just like,
I think sometimes it's not even the medication that didn't help. I think sometimes you just have so much going on in
yeah,
the
yeah,
head
yeah,
that even the medication is hard to. I mean, there's been times when, like I was on Zyprexa. Zyprexa helps me sleep. That's one thing it does. And there's been times where my head was just spinning so much, like so much going on that even like it just like it normally helps me go to sleep and everything, but that
yeah.
night it just didn't. But the next night it worked fine. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't
Right,
much
right.
motion or anything. What's going on in the psyche plays a huge role on medication and stuff. There was times when I was on 300 Seroquel and they put another medication to boost that because I just couldn't go to sleep to it. But there's just so much in my mind that I just could
Right.
not go to sleep, and I just had really bad insomnia too. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
for real. That's one thing I am blessed about is my sleep is kind of sort of normal. Not really, but it's much better than what it used to be, and I'm so happy with that,
Right.
like so
Right.
after you had years of insomnia where you were getting like 2 or 3 hours max, like every night, you'll be
Yeah.
happy when you get those 6 hours, 7 hours.
Yes.
Like, I mean, trust
Yeah.
me, I'm less of a bitch now. No, I'm just
No, that I mean that's why I started taking the medication. It was like 3, 4 days in a row, and I
kidding.
didn't sleep. And I was like, what is happening? But this happened for over like a month,
Mhm.
maybe longer, because I tried something else in the process and it didn't do
Mhm.
anything.
Right,
Um, so there was probably a few months of where I was barely sleeping for 3 to 4 nights at a time.
right,
At that point, I was like, okay, I can't function like this, you know. Plus,
right.
always I was also at that time having like severe panic attacks to where I would like pass out.
Mhm.
So all these things combined, I was like, okay, I gotta
Yeah,
do
that's one thing I don't understand is usually a panic attack to pass out, you actually need your blood pressure to be low. That's how you pass out. If you're panicking and you have high blood pressure, you can't pass out. Like you'll feel like you are, but you can't because you can only physiologically your body can only pass out if I believe if I'm correct when it has like low blood, not blood sugar, but low blood pressure, because that's what I've been told. Like if you're anxious, like you feel anxiety, it's very hard to pass out from
Mhm.
that because it's high blood.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll look into that.
Because I
But
was pretty sure it was it was in that book of the book of like that anxiety book, I don't know, that book of like that helps you with the myths of anxiety and shit. I forgot what it was called. Fuck.
hmm.
Hold on. Well, we gotta look it up right now.
Well,
Oh,
that's
the atomic something or whatever. I forgot. Can
that's
you
like
pass out if you have an anxiety attack?
that's why I went to the neurologist. I was like, am I like having seizures?
While feeling a faint or lightheaded is common during panic attack, true fainting, loss of consciousness is rare, and it's more common that you'll feel like you're gonna pass out rather than actually passing out.
Yeah. So there would be a lot of times where I would just like I was really lightheaded, but there were times where there was a couple of times where my daughter had to like pull over the car while I was driving because I like actually passed out. We went through a drive-through one time.
But what was it an anxiety attack where you had high blood pressure, or was it a
Uh,
calm? Because I think there's a difference. There is a difference because if you're full on like you feel like you're panicking, like. where what it sounds like to me is that yours happened out of nowhere.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you think
Yeah. Yeah.
like
It wouldn't
that's
like, oh, I'm in a
you
like,
probably just that's probably something else you need to look into because that's not fully anxiety because fully anxiety is like you have the feeling of it all, but you don't actually go through with it because it's it's almost impossible for it to happen. Like,
yeah.
like because even in this, like I mean, uh it even says if you are, it's important to seek medical advice from a healthcare professional, like because
Yeah.
that's not it is very, very rare. Um it's it doesn't tell me, hold on. Yeah, because people are saying fainting becomes more of a serious concern when it happens to people. Like it's not normal for a person with anxiety attacks to actually faint,
Yeah. Well,
apparently.
I've never dealt before that. I'd never dealt with panic attacks before. Like I said,
Hmm.
I'm not like a socially anxious person.
Hmm.
Crowded places have never bothered me before.
Hmm.
It just randomly started happening. Now,
Were
I
you
had
hyperventilating before it happened?
no.
No, that's something else, bitch.
I
Like
would
I'm
get okay.
serious.
This is what would happen. There were sometimes I would
I
feel
don't
like,
know if I want to know. My OCD doesn't want to know if it knows. Like I mean, like getting into my head,
yeah,
like I'm
true.
not good with medical shit. I'm really not.
Well,
But
no,
that's one of my biggest fears is passing out. That's why when I have an anxiety attack, I get so scared because I feel like I'm gonna pass
oh
out,
yeah,
but I never do. Like I mean, somebody says that the rare times it could happen is if you hyperventilate enough, but it doesn't even sound like you did that. Like you know what I mean? Like, I mean, usually I can able to catch my breath if I sit down for a second, and feel the hyperventilation going away. But yours sounds like more like an actual, it doesn't sound like it's in your head.
right. I've
Like it sounds
hyperventilated.
like it's an actual thing going on.
Yeah.
Like you sound like a fainting goat or something, like those goats that.
I've hyperventilated once in
Hmm.
my life, and that was a couple months ago.
Hmm.
Completely unrelated. No, that yeah, that's not. And I had all kind of neurological tests done, and it's not seizures. Everything was fine.
That's so weird though. It
I
must
know.
just be your body's physical way of handling stress
It,
or something
yeah,
because that's not, in my opinion, that doesn't sound even like anxiety. It just sounds like your body just shut down for a minute. Like, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, because usually, like I said, it is very rare for anyone to pass out or faint in an actual anxiety attack. And it doesn't
yeah.
even sound like you did anything to lead up to the fainting
That
either.
was the thing. Like
Yeah,
that was
that's not anxiety. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna
Like,
take that right now. And all these psychiatrists be like, she can't diagnose shit. I'm telling you right now, it's not anxiety.
but what the doctors were saying is that even if it's not something I was stressed at, particularly in the moment, that stress was still there because I did have a lot of stressful things going on.
Hmm.
That even though I wasn't focused on that particular stressor in the moment, that stress was still there and it was kind of like built up, and that's what led to the symptoms, is what they said.
But it doesn't even sound like you had any symptoms that led up to it. That's what's not making sense to me. Usually, if you're having a sense of anxiety, it's a progression. You don't just start in the middle of, like, you don't just start with the fainting. You don't just start with the
Right.
hyperventilating. It builds up. You feel it. You do. I mean, no one can tell me that they just go straight into a pain anxiety attack. No, you don't. There's things that lead up to it. You can feel it leading up in your body. At least I can. I don't know if
Yeah.
other people don't have that awareness or whatever, but I'm just saying. I think I don't know. Which would it possibly when it happens? Have you been on your time a month at those times at all?
I don't have a period because I had a hysterectomy when I was like 29.
You lucky bitch.
Well, I am perimenopausal though, which is fabulous.
How? You don't have it.
Perimenopausal? So perimenopausal is like the few years, maybe like a year or two, up to I think like 4 or 5 before you start menopause.
I know, but I think you can't have menopause if you don't have if
My
you
body
don't have,
still goes through physical menopause though. So the
but can
biggest,
you even avoid menopause by doing that?
I mean, you could take estrogen and like replace that hormone that's lacking, but I'm skeptical about that because the information I was given is that estrogen increases risk of breast cancer. So my husband naturally was like automatically no, but it is something I'm considering maybe for even like 1 to 3 months just
Oh,
to,
look, a man saying no to something that's not about him.
well,
No,
he,
I understand. I understand.
yeah,
I understand. But why did he say it as if he has a say in it?
right.
I'm
Right.
I'm just, I'm sorry.
No,
I
I mean,
say
he
that
knows I
pisses me off. Like
but
that's a no. No, you can't tell me that's a no.
right, right.
Like as if your opinion matters on this. Like I understand. Like I said, I understand.
Yeah,
And saying the likelihood of breast cancer, I would say maybe like just for your safety, I hope you wouldn't do this. But you don't just say no. Like
yeah, yeah.
that. Ugh, men annoy the fuck out of me so much. I am sexist and I'm aware of it. But I have a history of why, so it's okay. I mean, it's not okay. You know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, you have your reasons. It's not
I
like you
have,
hate
yeah,
men for nothing. Like,
exactly. And one
yeah,
thing my therapist said was like, out of all the men in your life, how many of them, like throughout your lifespan, have not hurt you? And I was like, three. My dad, my grandfather, my other grandfather. That's it. And she was like, how many
damn.
men have been in your life? A billion. Like, I mean,
Right,
like, you
right.
know, so, well,
Yeah.
not a billion, but you know what I mean. Like,
It's a much higher number than three.
exactly, much, much, much higher. So it's, so like, she's like, you have a very, like, but at least I'm one of those people that says I'm not sexist. I'm aware I am, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I take own, like, I'm not, I don't take pride
Self-aware.
in it, but I do take responsibility for it. And it's something I have to work on within myself to get to a healthy place of not viewing all men as me. So, I mean, like, you
Well,
get what I'm saying?
good thing there's women.
I know. I love them. I
But
really love them.
I really have to pee. So I'm
So
gonna
do
have
I.
to end this on this note. Um, Plus, I really have to go to the gym before I find of excuses why I ran out of time to go today. So, anything else you want to throw out there before we leave? Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And if you're just listening, that was me giving the middle finger. Yep. Uh-huh. That's what it was.
I wouldn't expect to end the conversation without it. Check us out on YouTube at Reah Higgs, ReahHagues. You can also keep up with us on Instagram at Just the Who Podcast.